All right, so I've mentioned before the um the tit for tat functionality or the tit for tat function in 2K, and I call it a tit for tat function because it's clear to me that it's something that is actually baked into the AI. So it's not just a natural progression, or it's not just by happenstance that uh, this happens, which is when you get a steal, then you go down the court and you get a turnover. Steal, turnover, steal, turnover. It's a tit for tat, back and forth functionality. And it happens too often, once again, it happens too often for it to just be, a part of the game, just something that's a natural occurrence. So, as you see, I already got the steal, and I'm making my way down the court, and so I get a turnover. Boom. Now, this shouldn't be an issue, but once again, it's way too frequently this back and forth, get a steal, then get a turnover bullshit. And if you understand how the stealing in 2K works, really how most functions in 2K work, it's granted to you. All right, so you can hold all the great defense and have the best fucking timing in the world all you want to. But whether or not you get the steal or make a shot or whatever it is based upon whether or not 2K wants to grant it to you. All right. And so right here, if you pay attention, he didn't. It may look like he reached and knocked the ball out my hand initially, but let's look at it from different angles. All right. He didn't touch. He originally did not touch the ball. All right. If you paying attention, he didn't touch it. All right. But what occurred, and you could actually say that that was a foul because his hand is legit inside my damn arm. But either way, they called it a turnover, so we're just gonna stick with that. But if you pay attention, a lot of times you could tell the predetermined outcome of when it's a predetermined narrative because your body would go into like a jerking animation, or you would go into like a ticking animation where, and basically what that is telling you is that something is about to happen that the AI has already scripted and predetermined to happen. So right here, before I actually lose the ball, if you pay attention, there's a slight moment where it's like I ticked, or I jerked into the position to actually lose the ball. And I guess I dropped the ball off of his kneecap. All right. And also pay attention to another thing with these steals. Now in real life, if you drop the ball right here, what are you going to do? You're going to immediately reach down and pick the ball back up. But what 2K has programmed into this system is that instead of reaching for the ball after you just lost it, you go into this fumbling, bumbling, stumbling animation where you're reaching all around and shit, and you're not even picking up the damn ball. You're reaching everywhere on the damn floor, all right? Like you playing Twister or some shit, whatever the fuck, and you don't even reach for the damn ball. And the ball is right there in front of you, but the 2K, the opposing team, they go right for it. They don't waste any time, all right? But they make you go into all of this stumbling bullshit because what? It's a predetermined outcome. It's a narrative. All right. This is narrative driven. This is narrative based. These are predetermined outcomes. Mostly everything that goes on in this game um is forced upon you. It's imposed upon you. All right. You have a certain level of influence and control over the flow of the game, but for the most part, what happens in this game is based upon narrative. It's based upon triggers, codes, and narratives, predetermined outcomes. All right. So you make a jump shot. You could have released the shit right on the line, and it's supposed to have been a green release because your release was perfect. 2K determines, the AI determines whether or not to actually grant you with that green release. And a lot of times it's based upon whatever the narrative is. If the narrative is that you're going to have a bad game, because you do have that, where you go into certain games and it's like you can just pretty much tell this is scripted to be an off game for you, because nothing is going right, and all of a sudden the computer is like robotic with defense, and everything is just, you're missing wide open shit. Your computer is playing dumb. They're not running the plays. They're not running their routes correctly. They're not reacting. They're allowing the opposing team to just drive the lane and just sit there and watch them lay the ball up, because you're playing in a script. It's like a play. It's like a movie almost, because they're trying to, two main things. These are the two main things that 2K is trying to do. One, they're trying to create the illusion that computer is putting up a fight, that computer can challenge you, that computer can compete, that they're competent enough to actually defeat you in a game. All right, but when they're doing it, they have not programmed the computer to actually play that well. So what they have to do is they have to force certain things to happen in order to give off the really in order to cheat you, to give computers some sort of an advantage. All right, stopping you just in mid stride when you're driving to the lane with no one in front of you. You're running after a loose ball, they stop you in your tracks and allow computer to blow by you to pick it up. You're holding defense, computer decides to drive, you're stuck standing in one spot, you can't chase them. You get what I'm getting at. The ball goes tangible and intangible when they want it to. All of these things that they're put in place in order to create the illusion that computer can actually put up a fight, that they're competent enough. The second thing that they're trying to do, they're attempting to incorporate or integrate that theatrical element of real life basketball. All right. So, it's a crossover. Highlight play. He drove and dunked. He busted his ass. It's coming down to the last moment. It's coming down to the last two shots or the last 2 minutes. It's a buzzer beater. You get what I'm getting at? They're trying to force, instead of allowing these things to play out naturally and programming the computer to be competent enough to compete, they're trying to force these things to happen by coding the AI to basically cheat you. All right, if all of that makes sense. That is why you have these predetermined outcomes. You're going into animations that just so happen to be the perfect thing to do to somehow help computer be able to catch up on defense or whatever the fuck that the scenario may be. It's a great game at the core of it. It's a great game, but these layers of different events and forced outcomes, predetermined outcomes that they've integrated into the game in order to fill it out, all right, in order to flesh it out, is what's fucking up the experience, because you're forced to play in these narratives and you cannot just get on the court and go at computer's neck. And I mean, you could, because I do it, but the computer is not the one that's putting up the restriction. The AI has an omnipresent influence over the game, and the AI is putting up the restriction by managing my ability to execute certain plans or ideas. If that makes sense. But anyway, man, peace.